How are you all doing, guys? My name's Ash and welcome back to a brand new video. I hope you're all having a fantastic day. I'd like to apologize for not uploading yesterday. I honestly just didn't really feel like it, and I had so many FUT Champions games to play, so I didn't leave too many for Sunday again. I have 20 left and I'm gonna play 10 off stream and 10 on stream tonight, so be sure to look out for that if you're interested. And yeah, guys, in today's video we're going to be talking about my two favorite formations in this game, the 4-2-3-1 narrow and the 4-1-2-1-2 narrow, and discussing which one is the best essentially. But before we get into that, guys, I would appreciate it if you could drop a thumbs up on the video and subscribe to the channel if you are new, and turn on notifications so you never miss out on any videos like this one. And with that aside, guys, let's get into the video. So you probably don't need me to tell you that the 4-2-3-1 and the 4-1-2-1-2 narrow are the most used formations in the game, because the chances are every FUT Champions game you play, whether they start in the 4-3-2-1, the 4-3-3, you'll notice if you check their player ratings or something, go on that screen, you'll see that they're in either of the formations. And the simple reason for that is they're the best. Like, there's no two ways about it. They're the most effective formations in the game because they're so overpowered. And I'm not saying other formations are bad, because many other people can use formations like the 4-3-3, but if you can master these two formations, you'll play the best you can play, if that makes sense. Because in this FIFA, like in the last FIFA, the narrow formations are dominant. Anyways, we're getting sidetracked here. You're here to hear me say which formation is better between the 4-2-3-1 and 4-1-2-1-2, but before we do that, we have to discuss the two formations and break them down. So starting off with the 4-2-3-1, I feel like this formation is very, very balanced, and I'm going to give my reasoning for that. So in the 4-2-3-1, you have two central defensive midfielders, which offer your defensive line a lot of support, meaning you're very, very hard to break down. Now, this formation does really annoy people because of the way it's used. And what I mean by this is, since the latest patch, EA have made it so the computer does a lot of the defending for you, and you can just control your midfielders and let the CPU do all the work. Now, what many people tend to do in this formation is just sit back, control their CDM, which is usually Bakayoko, and just block off the middle, and then that's it. They don't do anything else. Now, as much as I suggest people use their midfielders to block off passes, I don't suggest you do that solely. I feel like you should have to use your centre backs. So like I said, this formation has two CDMs which offer your defensive line a lot of support. On top of that, you have three central attacking midfielders, which offers you, to be honest, a little bit of width in the midfield while still keeping a narrow shape. And that's what's so great about this formation. It's very, very narrow, but you have the choice to be wide with it as well. Like with your two outer cams, you can choose to run down the wings, that kind of thing. Or you can decide to be very direct and go down the middle. It's very unpredictable. So with the combination of these three cams and the two CDMs, you actually have 5 players equally spread out in the midfield, which gives you very, very good control. The great thing about this formation is it's very easy to play these short passes and keep possession of the ball, especially with how pressure is in this game. For some reason, you can't apply any pressure on your opponent. Say you're 1-0 down in FUT Champions and you have to get a goal, and your opponent just decides to pass it round the back. For some reason, you can't press them. Am I the only one which experiences that? Like, you just can't get anywhere near them. And I find this formation is very, very good at exploiting that. The main issue I feel like this formation has is the fact you have one striker, and it's very predictable what you're going to do most of the time. Because you only have one player which you can aim for up the pitch, your opponent knows where you're going to go most of the time. So like, say I have Griezmann up front, that's where I'm going to pass to. He knows that. Whereas if I play a 4-1-2-1-2 and I have Griezmann and Martial up front, he's like, which one of these is he going to pass to? He can't mark both of them. So I find this formation very difficult to create chances, and I feel like that's a major issue if you're losing, because it takes a while to get a chance in this formation. You really have to work it, and if you're like 1-0 down, you don't really have that much time. You really just need to get the ball up there and hope for a chance, and I don't feel like that formation offers it. This is why I use this formation when I'm trying to see a game out, because as much as you can't really create chances, you don't really need to create chances when you're winning. It's very effective at keeping the ball because, like I said, you have 5 in the midfield, you have that nice bit of width, and you also have the narrow part of the formation as well, so it's really easy to keep the ball in my opinion and see games out. But if you're chasing a game, I don't feel like this is a very suitable formation unless you're being absolutely stomped on possession. I'm talking like you have 30% of the ball and you just can't get out. Sometimes it will help to use this formation just to get a bit of the ball, and you have more chance of creating a chance if you have the ball. The times you guys will most noticeably see me use this formation is when I'm coming up against people which I know are better than me. Like you saw me when I played Boras, I switched to it straight away, and that was because I needed a bit of control over the game. If I used a 4-1-2-1-2 there, I don't think I'd have beat him. So to sum this formation up, it's very balanced, offers you a lot of defensive support, and it's good for seeing out games. That's all you really need to know about it. Now moving on to the 4-1-2-1-2 narrow, which is the formation I use the most. I feel like this formation is the best for offensive play. So the first reason it's very good offensively is because you have the two strikers, and I find that a massive advantage. As I mentioned earlier, two strikers makes you very unpredictable, because if you had one striker like in the 4-2-3-1, you're very predictable. Your opponent knows where you're going to aim for. Like I said, if I had one striker in Griezmann up front, where am I going to pass to? It's obviously going to be up there. That's where my target is. Whereas if I have two strikers like Griezmann and Martial, he's got to think where I'm going to go, which player I'm going to pass to, because there's two options. On top of this, you have like the cam behind the two strikers, which makes this nice triangle when you're attacking. And if you can get that triangle working properly, you've caused your opponent many problems essentially, because if you have that fully functioning triangle of attackers, there's many things you can do from there. You can play 1-2s with your cam, your other striker back to cam. You get the point. There's nothing they can really do about it once you've got it going. Another great part of this formation is the fact you have two central midfielders. And the great thing about these midfielders is that they do a bit of everything. You can have them attack and they defend at the same time. This is why I use players like Vidal, Hullet, Nainggolan, them types of players, the ones with very balanced stats, because they offer you a bit of everything, which I feel like is very important when using this formation. So it's like when you're attacking you have 5 offensive players, and when you're defending you have 7 defensive players. The reason I'm saying you want very balanced players, because imagine having Tiamui Bakayoko as your central midfielder. When you're defending, he's great, but imagine him trying to bomb forward. You don't want him shooting on his left foot. You don't want the ball going out the stadium. So that's my reasoning for you needing versatile midfielders if you are going to use this formation. Obviously the CDM just needs to be defensive. You don't necessarily need an offensive player there, because their stats are going to be wasted, because they're not meant to go forward. They're just meant to sit there in front of the defenders. Now, although this formation is very narrow, like I feel like this is the most narrow formation in the game, if you actually have your fullbacks on balanced attack, which believe me isn't that bad, they actually offer you a little bit of width when you're attacking, and it's actually really useful. The amount of goals I've scored from having that extra bit of width from Walker and Alaba, or like just crossing the ball in with them or passing it across, it's actually mind-blowing. Because you've got to remember, every team is mainly set up narrowly, so they don't expect that bit of width, which is why I usually get undone by these wide formations like the 4-3-3 and the big strikers, because they just cross the ball in and head it, and I honestly can't deal with it. I'm not used to it. So I feel like this formation is very good for the quick build-up play, not necessarily for control of the game. It's just what I find. I usually switch out when I'm winning, because when I'm winning I like to start to keep the ball, that kind of thing. I don't really like having 40% of the ball when I'm winning a game, because it just feels like I'm bringing pressure on myself. I don't really need to score, so there's no point in me, you know, just trying to counter-attack. So then, which formation is better? And in my honest opinion, they're not better than each other. They're both good at different things. It all depends on your style of play. If you're a very fast counter-attacking guy who enjoys just pinging the ball up as much as possible, creating as many chances as possible, I suggest using the 4-1-2-1-2, because you're going to find the most use with that. I feel like you can create so many more chances with that formation. but it leaves you a bit vulnerable, especially when you're winning, because you can't really keep control of the game. So personally, I think the 4-1-2-1-2 is a better formation to start the game, especially because it's going to give you more chances, more opportunities to score. But when you're winning a game, I feel like it's good to switch out to the 4-2-3-1 because it offers you that control of the game which you need when you're winning. Even though you're not going to create as many chances, like I said, you're going to find it much easier to see out the game because you can keep the ball, that kind of thing. So this is the way I look at it: 4-1-2-1-2 to score goals, 4-2-3-1 to see games out. That's just my outlook on it. It's what I find the most use with. Your opinions may differ, so be sure to comment them down in the comment section below. I'll be sure to read them. And that just about sums it up for this video, guys. If you have enjoyed it or found it informative, I would appreciate it if you could drop a thumbs up on the video, subscribe to the channel if you are new, and turn on notifications so you never miss out on any videos like this one. And with that being said, guys, I hope you have a great day, and I'll catch you all later. Peace out.